Shauna. Well, the other week you asked us girls at the photo shoot what advice we would give our younger self. And I would like to know what your advice you would give yourself when you were my age. Because I feel like that would really help us ladies. These days I feel like there's so many options and avenues we can take and we all are a little bit lost. So any guidance from a young lady like yourself would be very appreciated.
She's so good. Amy, thank you so much for that great question. So what would I tell my 20-something self? Well, I guess I always ask all my podcast guests this question as well. So it's fair enough that you've asked me to ask myself the same question. So there's a few things that I think I would like to tell my younger self. I think the first one is to never say never, because I feel like that's probably come back to bite me a little bit. So I think I probably used to be someone who would say, I would never let my kids do that or say that, or I would never go to there, or, oh, I just thought of another one. I used to say I would never have Botox, and talk about the irony, because not only do I have Botox or anti-wrinkle injections, but I've got a clinic that gives them to other people. So I think sometimes whenever you're younger, you can have very fixed ideas about things. And I know that I definitely did. So my first piece of advice would be a little bit more open-minded, be willing to take other people's opinions on board, because you just don't know what life's going to throw at you and how you might feel a little bit differently about something whenever things have changed for you. The next piece of advice that I would give to people who are a bit younger than me, and also I give to myself every day, is to try and stop being so critical of myself. Most of you listening are female, and for some reason we tend to be much more likely to be self-critical. We tend to speak to ourselves in a way that we would never speak to another person. We will be mean to ourselves about what we look like, what we sounded like, a piece of work that we've done. And I have to say that I personally used to have described myself as a recovering perfectionist. I now describe myself as an adaptive perfectionist, in that I feel like hopefully my perfectionist traits are something that allows me to always be striving and always trying to grow. But the reality is that I do still struggle with being overly harsh on myself. And I really wish that I wasn't like that. And I would hope that my children won't be as hard on themselves as I've been on myself. So if you're a bit like me and you find yourself pointing out your flaws to other people before they even notice, so that's one of my little tricks. So if I feel I'm having a bad hair day, or I'm not feeling I'm looking my best or sounding my best, I'll always be the first person to point that out to other people. And I need to learn to stop doing that, because the reality is that the vast majority of people aren't looking to criticize. They're not looking to put you down. Most people around you are actually your supporters and your fans and people who like you. And so that's one piece of advice that I would love you all to take on board. But I know it's a work in progress, because I have to remind myself every day just not to be quite so critical. My other piece of advice is learn to take a compliment. That's something that I've always found really challenging throughout my whole life. And I know if you speak to my husband, he has found that quite frustrating over the years. So whenever we were younger and first dating, and he would tell me that he thought I was beautiful or pretty, I would immediately say, no, I'm not. Eventually he sat me down and told me that he found that quite insulting, that I didn't actually trust or believe in his opinion, and that I needed to take the compliment. So if someone gives you a compliment, maybe they're complimenting that you're wearing something really stylish today, or that they think your hair looks really pretty, or that your children have beautiful manners, or that, you know, your teenagers being extremely kind to someone, or that you've been really thoughtful in how you have interacted with someone, take the compliment, take it, and just allow yourself just to say thank you. Even if you feel embarrassed or insecure, or that maybe that you've got these feelings that you're just not enough, just allow yourself to take that compliment and just say thank you, even if you don't manage to pull together anything more than a simple thank you. I think it's a really, really good way to retrain your brain to start hearing really nice things. Because if you spend your whole life always batting away compliments and you're constantly bombarding yourself with criticism, imagine what your self-esteem is going to be like. It's not going to be good. I think the last piece of advice that I would like to give you all is to stop and celebrate the wins. And that's something I'm also not very good at. So I think that, just to give you an example, if I've just had a really successful event and lots of people have shown up and people have enjoyed it and I've had really good feedback and everybody's left the event, really uplifted and feeling really positive about themselves, I tend to not celebrate that win so much, but tend to focus on maybe what I could make better the next time. And I think that a lot of us, and again, I do think that this is something that women particularly do, is that we are probably a little ingrained into not wanting to seem boastful or obnoxious or arrogant, and therefore we nearly bring ourselves down a peg or two. And I think that that's something that we all really need to work on, because if we don't celebrate our successes and don't allow ourselves just even to have 1 hour or one day where we are just enjoying something that we've accomplished, then kind of what's the point? And we're going to get to the end of our lives and look back and feel like the whole thing has just been a journey and there's not been no stopping at any of the stations along the way to enjoy the view. So that would probably be my last piece of advice, is allow yourself to celebrate the wins. Don't feel that you have to always be so humble that you don't allow yourself to give yourself a slap in the back and be really proud of what you've done. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it do not constitute medical, healthcare, or other professional advice. Information is provided for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you have any health concerns, always consult your doctor.